Okay, am I here?
You are.
Woohoo!
You're here and audible. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Be Here Now. Uh, okay. So, I'm Adam Brotman, a psychologist here at the Boise VA, with the primary care mental health team, and here with my friend and colleague who will now introduce herself.
I'm Tanya Watford. I'm a psychologist in BHIP, which it took me a while when I first took the position to realize that I'm up on the hill. People would say, I have an appointment up on the hill. That's me.
The famous Up on the Hill place. Yeah. So this class is meant to create a space to explore barriers and benefits of mindfulness. A lot of people know how mindfulness can be helpful and just don't know how to make it part of their day-to-day lives. And others might be here to find out more about mindfulness or both of those things. And we especially want to focus here in this class on mindfulness for effectiveness in our work and in our lives. So maybe you came here today considering what change you could make that maybe would be beneficial to you, something you'd like to do differently, responding to challenges or to stress, or maybe there's something you hope mindfulness could help you with. And feel free to contribute to the chat or come off mic and or come off mute and say something about why you're here in this class and what you hope maybe this class could do for you. I think mindfulness is partly about learning to create a pause in our lives where we could react to something. We create that pause so we can respond more intentionally. We can notice what is driving our reactions, and we can notice uh, what we need to what we need to notice in order to make choices so that we can respond more effectively to situations.
Oh, yeah, I think you've definitely hit on a core piece, right? Just in that, we have to be able to recognize what's showing up for us and what we're reacting to start to do something different. And
Yeah,
so I think that's one of the for for me has been one of the most valuable pieces of mindfulness practice. It has been, when I'm feeling irritated or overwhelmed or even when I'm feeling happy, to be able to identify that that's showing up means that I'm immediately in control of my behavior. And that's been, I think, a really helpful part of this process for me. But yeah, so, and you might have been saying that for you too, Adam, like that awareness piece may be a crucial part.
yeah, it is a crucial part. I mean, sometimes it's just recognizing what mood I'm in or recognizing an emotion that has shown up in a particular situation. And maybe it's something familiar. And I think sometimes when it is something familiar, you can go, oh, yeah, there's that thing that I've decided to respond differently to going forward. And we're never going to be perfect. I don't want to say never. We could, I guess, hypothetically get to where we never have that certain type of reaction that we have decided to never have again. Usually, for most of us, we don't get to that kind of perfection, but we can get a lot better.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, and as we're practicing mindfulness, noticing what shows up, but then also being in charge of what we're paying attention to, right? Like that identifying this is the emotion or this is the thought or the old belief or the memory. This is the things that's showing up for me. But then that very next step is then like, okay, what do I want to give my attention to? And you brought up a really interesting point for this class, which is, today you wanted to talk about focusing on what matters.
Yeah, yeah, I did. And we're here to do that. I mean, we're like, the whole reason we're even here at all is to focus on what matters. And I think we get, we can think that we're too busy to focus on what matters. We're too busy doing the things we have to do. And there's what matters in our lives is in there. It is in those things that we're so busy with that we might feel distracted with. Yeah, there's always things we'd rather be doing. There's always things that we feel more passionately about, but we're doing what we've got to be doing, and we can find in there the things that are important to us. Um, and so, it's kind of like if you were to imagine that you are some kind of aerospace engineer, let's say, and you're remotely controlling some aircraft, and you have certain controls that control lift and tilt and whatever the variables are that you would control. And what you want to be doing is paying attention to those controls because there's a lot going on when you're flying aircraft that are out of our control, the weather and the various mechanical uh, failings that could happen. And so we just have the variables that we can focus on and control. And with an aircraft, I like this metaphor because there's things that have to be in balance, right? If one thing's out of line, you adjust that, it affects the other thing, and you have to adjust that. And that's kind of how we go through our lives too. And you could think of those controls as kind of like our values or the things that we care about. Sometimes we're very focused on um, getting a lot done, like volume of how much we get done. Sometimes we're focused on correcting some process to improve quality of what we're doing. And that could be connecting with our heart, our gut about the importance of what we're doing um, in an interaction with somebody, just being really present, being really genuine, um, maintaining high quality. So that's one way to think about what we're here to talk about today.
And I see what you shared in the chat, Jeanette, and I think that's so right. It's, this idea that Adam's, walking us through of, okay, there's a lot happening here, right? Some of it is, this stressful thing or this pressing thing or this confusing thing. And also there's things here that, okay, what's important to me in this moment? But it does take a certain amount of willingness,
Mhm.
in order to connect with that because it's so we're pretty hardwired to focus on the struggle, right? There's something about our survival instinct that says it's wrong to turn away from something that's difficult, possibly scary, could be dangerous, right? We're pretty hardwired to be like, oh my gosh, no, I have to figure this out, right? To stay in the struggle as a way to rescue ourselves. And of course, what ends up happening though is the more we're focused on that, the more overwhelmed we feel, and the more we might lose sight of those things that Adam is describing, like what is it that's actually important to give my energy to here. So I think it does take some willingness, right? And when I say willingness, let me give you an example of what I mean. Um, so just you can just do this exercise with me, right? To kind of have an idea of what it would mean to practice this. Just you can say to yourself, or if you're in a space where it wouldn't feel too weird, you can say out loud, I cannot raise my hand. I cannot raise my hand. So just sort of repeating that thought to yourself, whether inside, or out loud, I cannot raise my hand. I cannot raise my hand. I cannot raise my hand. Now continue to repeat that to yourself. And then I want you to go like this. I cannot raise my hand. I cannot raise my hand. And just raising that hand. I cannot raise my hand. I cannot raise my hand. I cannot raise my hand. What do you notice? Oh, you can come off mic or you can put it in the chat. What do you notice about that? I love that. Yeah, you can raise your hand. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, Amber, Corey, Deborah, thanks. Perfect. Yeah, it's hard to raise your hand, and also you can't, right? That willingness is not about ignoring the thing that's showing up for us, right? It's about a choice. In that moment, I can notice that I'm having that thought, I cannot raise my hand, and I also still can, if that's what feels valuable, important, useful for me in that moment, right? And so, and that
It's
really
a
is this, yeah.
I was just gonna say it's interesting too that, and I did this with somebody recently who said the same thing. It was actually hard to raise your hand, so you're experiencing how the thought has it does have power. The thought itself is real. It has power. It affects the experience of raising your hand, and you can raise your hand.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the reasons it's called mindfulness practice, right? It's almost like a skill that we're honing because that's certainly not my default mode. Even
Right.
after years of practicing, especially when I'm put under stress, right? I'm noticing, Jeanette, yours in the chat, it felt painful, counterintuitive, but possible, right? Especially when we're under stress, that pull to stay in the struggle can be pretty strong, right? And it takes some awareness and some willingness to kind of say, okay, I'm noticing this pull to stay in rumination, to stay caught up worrying. I'm noticing the pull. And can I, in this moment, give my attention to what's important to me in this moment? Maybe getting this task done or connecting with a friend or, right, going for a walk. Is it possible? Right. And so that in that little space, is it possible? That's where we find that we have a sense of power. Christian, I'm reading your your comment in the chat. Yeah, right. Delay, but ultimately you go for the green nuggets. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah. And I think is there maybe some self-judgment that comes into play there too, right? If we are struggling, do we amplify that struggle with self-judgment? I don't know. Anyone else? Do we amplify with self-judgment? Am I alone in that?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, right, willingness to kind of say, okay, I notice self-judgment is showing up. And also in this moment, can I shift my attention? Can I possibly be more kind? Can I engage in a way that's more consistent with who I want to be? And I don't know, maybe is that the challenge? Being aware of what it is that we do want to have guide our attention? I don't know. What do you think, Adam? What's the challenge with connecting, with shifting our attention to what's actually important?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's partly the realization, right? And this is when any of us who have led meditations, we've been asked this question, like, or we've gotten this response where people go, I can't do this. My mind is just all over the place. And as a teacher, you say, well, did you sometimes bring it back? And the answer is usually yes, even if it was they brought it back 100 times in 3 minutes. And that's about recognizing where your mind was. That's mindfulness. It's not like, yeah, it's nice to get to where you can always choose where your mind is at any given time. And I haven't met that person. I've improved at it. And, I wonder if I'm up to 20% of my day. I don't know, where I'm actually conscious of where my mind is. Uh, but yeah, that's the first part is like you have to notice that your mind went somewhere else in order to bring it back. So that's part of the challenge. And then, yeah, maybe sometimes it is, do I even know where I want it to be? There's so many competing priorities and interests. And so that's a choice you have to make. But when you choose what your priority is, the mindfulness part is, can I notice that there's something pulling me away? Something I'm feeling the urge to go do instead of what the goal is right now. And can I choose to come back to it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Well, and so let's do some practice, right? Today we're going to do a mindfulness practice that really is about practicing that willingness piece. And so we'll go ahead and do that. So we'll start the exercise, right? No special posture required, just placing your feet squarely on the ground, sitting up in the chair so that your back is straight but not rigid, just kind of assuming a posture that helps you feel a little more focused, right? And closing your eyes if that's comfortable for you. And of course, if not, right, finding a spot on the floor or on the wall, let your gaze soften. We're just kind of looking for a way to reduce distraction. And notice that even in this moment, you can feel yourself sitting in the chair and you can feel your feet on the ground. Maybe you can feel the clothes against your skin. I would like you to place your attention now at the tip of your nose and begin to notice the sensation of air moving in and out of your nostrils. Simply paying attention to your breathing. Allowing yourself to just gently be with breathing, paying attention to the gentle, easy air as it passes in and out. You may also notice the rise and fall of your chest. Be aware of the expansion and contraction. Be your breathing. If you become distracted by your thoughts, just take a moment to notice where your thoughts took you. Notice where your mind went. And then, without judgment, let go and return your attention to your breathing. If you get distracted 100 times, bring yourself back to your breath 100 times. Let's take just a few more moments to focus completely on breathing. I would like you to turn your full attention to your body. Starting with your toes, scan up your body, following the scan right to the top of your head. Notice the position you are sitting in and the way your body feels in the chair. As you pay attention to your body, I would like you to practice remaining perfectly still, except the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe. You may notice that you have an itch or a desire to move. You may notice some discomfort, but your only task at this time is to notice those desires, discomforts, and itches without any effort to make them different. Stay still. Watch as your body and emotions and thoughts ask you to do something, and notice too that you can remain perfectly still despite these requests. Continue to remain still as you notice the different sensations in your body. Also, be aware that you do not need to react to sensations. You can simply observe them. You can simply watch them come and go. Being aware of the body and remaining still. Now, releasing your attention from stillness, gently focus on just the rise and fall of your breathing. And then on your body and how it feels to sit in the chair. Notice the placement of your feet, your arms, and your head. Picture what the room will look like. And when you're ready, rejoin the room by opening your eyes. Hello. So, what was that like? What did you notice? And again, you're welcome to put it in the chat or you can come off mute and say. Yeah, Amber, I feel that. Yeah, there's something really interesting about even if things are challenging or difficult, we're dealing with difficult stuff, right? There's something that happens when we just pay attention to what's showing up right now, even if it's unwanted stuff. Attention to the present moment signals our nervous system to relax. So it's not the goal of mindfulness practice, but it's a nice bonus that the body kind of goes, ah. Oh, nice. Okay, a lot of relaxation. Yeah, Corey, Michael, thanks. Yeah. Oh, difficult to stay still. Yes, right? Like every time, as soon as I say, and any itch, my body's like, yeah, that itch is over there. It's like there's something about just checking in that all of a sudden my body's like, yes, all of this uncomfortable stuff, which makes it a particularly interesting practice to just allow that to be there and then allow myself to stay present with that. What did you notice, Adam?
I had a moment of anxiety at the beginning, at the instruction to stay still, like thinking, oh, now I have to stay still. So there was anxiety about anticipating that being hard, and then that, subsided, and then actually was not difficult. But yeah, same experience you described. Like suddenly there is an itch. Where does that? Why is that there all of a sudden? When you say something about an itch, so it's very interesting.
Oh yeah, and that's neat to notice anticipatory anxiety, right? As
Hmm.
you hung in and you noticed exactly what was happening, it sounds like it maybe wasn't quite as painful or terrible as your mind initially said it was going to be.
Right. Then it was the moment to moment noticing, and not focused on how long it was going to be, or how what if I feel the urge to move? What am I going to do? Just got into what I was feeling at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, so mindfulness practice is interesting that way. Thanks so much for joining us here today. This opportunity to practice responding to what shows up to us in a way that kind of helps us stay a little more steady, maybe a little less overwhelmed, maybe a little more active in this moment so that we get the benefit of that relaxation bump from the practice. But also, I'm wondering, even in this moment, if you have a little more clarity around what's showing up for you and maybe what you need to do next. I know that happens for me with mindfulness practice too. Um, Anything as we're wrapping up, Adam?
Um, no, nothing.
Perfect. All right. Wishing you all a lovely rest of your day.
Yeah. Thanks for joining.
And we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, bunches.